What's going on, guys? My name is Brian, the Llama, apparently, but don't use that reference. And you are?
Aces.
And Aces, please tell me who we are.
We are worth the download.
Fantastic. So today we're doing an album review of a certain band, Broken Social Scene, and their album is actually called, it was Thunder Hug?
No, Hug of Thunder.
Hug of Thunder. I don't know, I just think of like Raiden from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I can see that.
Alright, fair enough. Okay, so I'm going to pass the ball.
So, Broken Social Scene, if you guys aren't familiar with it, because they're kind of one of those bands I think that don't get enough credit, and they, well, maybe more so up here in Canada, because basically they're like a super group of Canadian artists from different bands. And the fun thing about with Broken Social Scene is that for every album that kind of comes out, you never know who's really going to be on it, because as a total, there's been 19 members to this band, but you can have as little as 6 members actually on an album. So it's kind of crazy. You can go from 6 to 19 people. And so if you watch them live, you never know who's going to show up to that show either. So it's kind of fun thing to watch, because I remember watching them live like years ago, and people just kept coming on the stage, and people just kept like rushing in, and it was a crazy performance. Anyways, wow. That being said, going into this album, I hadn't listened to a full Broken Social Scene album since You Forgot It in People, which was their 2002 album. And so this is the first album they've actually come up with where the original 50 members of the band came in to collaborate, right, to put this album together. So kind of almost like 15 to 17 years, whatever it is, in the making. And I think it kind of paid off, because I think this is a really solid album overall with the execution. But I'm more so curious to see what you thought of it, because I know you hadn't actually listened to Broken Social Scene before. So how did you feel about this album?
And I'm Canadian.
And you're Canadian.
Yep. So this is a Canadian group, and I've actually I've heard of the small bands that got together to make this band, like the super band, but I've never actually heard this super band per se. So this is all brand new to me. So getting into this album, when I got to first track, and then I listened to the album, I'm losing my breath. When I saw track 1 and I listened to the whole album, I actually enjoyed it a lot, because it's very versatile. It was very a mixture. It's kind of like a combustion of a lot of noise, but it sounded good. I never really got bored listening to any of the tracks, and that's a good thing. It's not relatively long, but it's a little longer than 10 tracks. How much is it?
I think it was 12 tracks.
About 12 tracks, so it's not so bad. So it's actually not it's a good balance of tracks. Keeps you engaged and I guess excited. Some of the tracks are a little bit gym worthy, but not really. I just actually like them. I can't really tell more about it. I'm actually excited. Is this their last album? I doubt it, but I'm excited to hear more. I'm actually gonna listen to the
previous albums. Definitely do that, because like I said, every album is a little bit different, because you don't know who is actually gonna be on it, because it's such a eclectic mix of different artists. But I think that's what keeps it interesting, because like you said, right, sometimes it does sound like a lot of stuff is happening, because there's 50 members right in this band, and the same thing happens when you watch them live. There's just so much going on, but it works. Yeah, and it just meshes so well. Yeah. And I think that's what's really cool about this band, right? And like you said, I think it was a really solid album, kind of like back to front to back. But I don't know if it's so much gym worthy. I find it more like it's a really solid album for the summer, where you can pop it on, go on a road trip, when you're going up to the cottage or whatever the case is, wherever you're going this summer, and just pop on that album and I think just enjoy it, kind of from front to back. And like I said, it was a really cool mix. Like I said, of having the original band members coming back, you feel the different things and how the sounds kind of matured and changed up, and you see the influences people bring to it. So it's something you kind of have to listen to really appreciate, and you can't really describe it just in a review. So definitely give it guys a listen. But that being said, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say I just completely forgot. There's something about female artists that gets me kind of going.
Yes, well, the main song, I guess, "Hug of Thunder" has Feist on it.
It's so good.
It is good.
I don't know, I know it's kind of biased to say this, or maybe a little bit sexist, but female singers or artists just sound better to me than the men for some odd reason. I don't know. It gets my little frontis happy.
I know what you get. Where you
okay, fair enough.
So then, that being said, if you're gonna give this album a score then out of 5, what would you give it?
Out of 5, I would give it a 4.5. Canadian flags. No, let's do Canadian Leafs.
Maple Leafs?
Maple Leafs. I should do Canadian flags, because you know why? It is a 150 Canada Day thing.
All right.
So let's do that. Out of 5. Worth the download.
All right. Sounds good. For me, I'm just going to give it a solid 4 out of 5.
Okay.
So a solid 4 out of 5. Broken Building, because that's the first album that I watched. That's basically the cover, CD cover. You guys can look it up. So for me, it's a 4 out of 5. Then Broken Buildings. So I guess it's worth the download.
It is worth the download. Fantastic.
So what are we doing next week?
What are we doing next week? We're doing Coldplay.
We are doing Coldplay.
We're doing Coldplay, so we're excited to see the tattoos in his hands. And yeah, that's all I can say about that.
All right. So
I'm always excited to see those tattoos, man.
All right.
It's just 2 blocks.
It's just 2 blocks.
Yeah.
So anyways, you guys make sure you subscribe so you guys know when we drop that review. And let us know in the comments what you guys thought about this one. And if you guys hadn't heard of the band, I'm curious to see what you guys think of this album because I think it is a really solid album. So make sure you guys leave some comments down below. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WorthTheDL because we're dropping 60-second reviews and we're probably going to throw some other stuff on there. Point is, follow us and you'll be entertained. We'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
Cool.
I'm entertaining. Okay, guys?
Sometimes. All right, so that wraps up this review. We'll catch you guys on the next one.